State is requesting that we do a final order today, and it's the state's understanding that both the attorney ad litem for child and custodial person, paternal grandmother, Ms. Adams, are joining in that request. Specifically, Your Honor, we are asking that this court go ahead and find that the Jeremy Ward is the biological father of the child. The state will ask the court to take judicial notice of the DNA test report previously admitted into the case, which went ahead and excluded or did the adjudication of non-parentage for Mr. George Allen York Chapman Sr. We're asking that the orders for Ms. Pruitt to be a possessory conservator continue unchanged, that Ms. Adams remain managing conservator of the child, and that Mr. Ward also be named a possessory conservator. It's the state's understanding that testimony will be that the child subject of the suit, Ethan, is 12 years old and has expressed to the ad litem that he would, in fact, like his surname changed so that it reflects Ward, as is the name of his biological father. And the state is asking, Your Honor, that government medical continue to be the coverage for the child as provided by Ms. Adams, and that each parent be ordered to pay both medical and child support currently beginning November 1st, and that there also be retroactive judgments against both Mr. Ward and Ms. Pruitt. My colleague, Ms. Osmus, is going to testify as to income, periods of incarceration for both, and numbers of other children outside of this case. And then, Your Honor, we'd ask that non-disclosure previously ordered in the matter be continue forward so that neither parent has Ms. Adams's contact information, but app close would be necessary if the court finds it appropriate for parents to have a way to communicate regarding the child if they choose to do so in the future.
Thank you. Ms. Kuzak.
Just very briefly, I won't go into all the facts right now, but I'm requesting sole managing conservatorship for Ms. Adams. As far as the rights that the parents have, there are some pretty compelling reasons for non-disclosure. So I would ask, the typical rights about being able to get educational records. I would like for that to include a non-disclosure so they can't use school records to try to find, where Miss Adams or where Ethan are living. Ethan is 12 years old. I've spoken with him. I've spoken with Miss Adams. I have not spoken with either parent. I've sent them emails, several emails at each at the email address that I was provided. I have not heard anything. The evidence is going to show that both parents have a substantial criminal and drug addiction history, and that they are not involved in Ethan's life. The evidence will show that Miss Adams has had Ethan since he was 2 years old. So for the past 10 years, Ethan has lived with Ms. Adams, and that's what he wants to continue to do. He does not want to meet. He said, I don't want to meet Jeremy or Crystal. I believe that he has at some point, but he doesn't, he was too young to remember that. So I'm asking for visitation to be solely at the discretion of the paternal grandmother. As far as support goes, I really don't have a whole lot to add to that. I can just tell you, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I'll leave that up to the court, and we can get some testimony from Ms. Adams as to what she wants to do on that. The name change thing is pretty important to Ethan. He wants to be Ethan Jacob Ward. He has some siblings that have the same last name, that have the name Ward. His current name is Chapman because when he was born, Mr. Chapman signed an AOP. But as Ms. Bongap correctly pointed out, there was a DNA test result that was previously, looks like it was admitted, provided as State's Exhibit 2. And then it should be in the court file, Judge, that it was filed May 2nd, I believe 2023. So if the court takes judicial notice of the court file, it should be there as well. Non-disclosure is also going to be requested. There will be some testimony that Jeremy Ward has broken into the house before. There have been issues dealing with family violence, that Mr. Ward has actually been basically was sentenced to some jail time based upon domestic violence against Ms. Adams. So that would be something for the non-disclosure, but also to support the sole managing conservatorship request as well. I also join in requesting adjudication that Jeremy Ward be named the father, and that AppClose be the primary way that the parties can communicate because of the safety issues. And I believe that's it, Judge.
All right, then, based on those openings, I'll let the state and the ad litem prove it up, but based on what the court has heard so far, and based on the information dealing with the family violence, the drugs, the criminal history, and we'll get the testimony on the criminal history. I'm looking at best possible possessor conservators as far as the biological parents are concerned, but no other rights until further order of the court. And in other words, they got to come back and show me that they're on the straight and narrow before I can do it. But that's the path I want to take toward this once I get the testimony that verifies that information, Ms. Kuzak and Ms. Von Gat. So let's see what we got. Thank you.
The state first calls Ms. Osmus. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Christina Osmus,
How are you employed?
with the Office of Attorney General.
And what is your exact position?
It's a child support officer.
What do your typical duties include?
My work includes conducting detailed investigations to locate absent parents, establishing paternity, filing to enforce court orders for child support and medical support, and responding to customer inquiries and wage investigations.
And is it correct, Ms. Osmus, that you've done some of those activities today with regard to Ms. Crystal Pruitt, and then, of course, for Mr. Jeremy Ward?
Yes, ma'am.
With regard to Ms. Pruitt, ma'am, what did you find?
With Ms. Pruitt, her current income is based off minimum wage. She has been in and out of jail since 2015. Child support would be $147. Medical would be $5. Retro child support from May 23rd, 2018 to present would be $11,430 with a monthly payment of $107 per month.
And then, ma'am, was there anything else regarding Ms. Pruitt?
Ms. Pruitt, actually, she has 10 children outside of this matter and one of this matter.
And then, ma'am, with regard to Mr. Ward, what did you find?
With Mr. Ward, we had to do minimum wage for him as well. He's been in and out of jail since 2005. And the child support monthly would be $153. For medical, it would be $5. For retro child support from May 16th, 2023 to present will be $2,772 with a monthly payment of $64 per month.
Anything else, ma'am, to report regarding Mr. Ward?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Ward, actually, he has 5 children outside of this matter.
And anything else,
Yes.
Ms. Osmus, as far as this case? 1 second, Ms. Adams, please.
No, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Do you have any questions of her?
And on his kids, are you only counting the ones
Okay.
that are
Okay, go ahead.
18?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
wondering, he has 7 kids. I realize the oldest one just turned 18. Is that why he wasn't counting?
All right, Ms. Asmus, the mother, the conservative party thinks that he has more kids out there. Not going to make 5 to 7 is not going to make a big deal of difference, but it does make a difference. My understanding, you've only been able to confirm legally 5. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, then. All right, Miss Adams, he may have more out there, but he's not legally officially found to be the father of those extras. So, right, and so we're looking at 5 children under the age of 18 at this time. Any other questions of the witness, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. May Miss Assis be excused, Miss Bongat?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you're free to go, and I'll let the state call your next witness, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state calls Ms. Adams. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Tina Kenneth Adams,
Who is the child in this case?
Ethan Jacob Chapman,
How are you
my
related?
grandson. He is my grandson,
Which of his parents are you related to?
Jeremy Ward.
And ma'am, were you able to hear my opening statement to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you also able to hear Ms. Kuzek's?
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, while my colleague Ms. Osmus was testifying, was your only concern that we had the right number of other children to calculate support?
I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I don't care how many kids either one of them have. I doubt I ever see any money. So, and I'm not, I would like to see it, but if I don't, then
And so, ma'am, as far as you're aware, Ethan's parents are who?
Jeremy Ward is his biologic father, and Crystal Pruitt is his mother.
And ma'am, when I mentioned the DNA test results that were previously admitted in order for Mr. Chapman to be off of the case, were you present when the testing occurred for Jeremy Ward?
Yes, I was.
And so you're confident, ma'am, that that report that the court previously admitted is correct and your son, Mr. Ward, is Ethan's biological father?
That is correct.
And so, ma'am, as far as him having a duty of support in this case, you have no problem with the court finding that that's appropriate?
That, yes, that's appropriate.
And ma'am, Ethan is number what of Mr. Ward's biological children?
Number 4.
And you had stated in your questioning of my colleague that he has 7 total who are biologically his, one of whom may already be 18 years old.
That is correct. His oldest 18.
And how old are the others besides Ethan?
There is 18, 15, 14, 12, 11, 9, 11, let's see, 11, 10, and 8.
And so, ma'am, based on all of that, before Ethan turns 18, at least 2 or 3 of those half siblings will have emancipated.
Yes, 2.
And then, ma'am, as far as my colleague's testimony about Miss Pruitt's other children, that was correct based on your information that Miss Pruitt has had at least 6 of those children adopted out, so she no longer has any rights or duties.
To my knowledge, yes.
And then, ma'am, you're familiar with the temporary orders in this case, which established you as sole managing conservator while Miss Pruitt was possessory.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, since these orders will finally address Mr. Ward, you're in agreement with Ms. Kuzek and my statement that Mr. Ward should also be a possessory conservator of Ethan without any rights, as the court had mentioned in its comments.
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, what contact, if any, has your grandson had with either of his parents since he came to live with you?
He has had no contact with Crystal since about a month after I got him 10 years ago. Jeremy did get clean. Well, he came out of jail clean, and at first he was doing good, and I let Ethan around him, and that lasted about a week. So once.
How long ago was that, ma'am?
Oh, 5 years ago? I know it's been a while.
Yes, ma'am. And has there been any change to your grandson's health coverage since we did that temporary order?
No, ma'am.
And did you have any problem, ma'am, with the state requesting that both Ms. Pruitt and Mr. Ward pay cash medical support of $5 per month beginning November 1st?
No, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, based on there not being any evidence of a disability, incarceration, or other reason to not find that both Mr. Pruitt and Ms. Pruitt and Mr. Ward should at least be able to earn the minimum wage, were those numbers for current support and retroactive or back child support acceptable to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, ma'am, as far as the prior order, you did not have to disclose your contact information to Ms. Pruitt. Are you asking that that same order be made as far as Mr. Ward knowing yours and Ethan's physical address and other contact information?
That is correct.
And so, ma'am, as far as app close, which was mentioned, are you familiar with that free electronic parenting application?
I was gonna go look at it and I could not remember the name. So yeah.
But given the parent's history of non-involvement, non-contact, you do want to leave this one way open if either decides they want to know more about Ethan and be in his life in some fashion.
There'd be a lot of proving before I would let him. Everyone I will this life.
Okay.
So I guess yes.
So that would be a start, ma'am, for them to have a way to contact you and see about progressing at all. Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Kuzak, your witness.
Thank you, Judge. As to Jeremy and as to Crystal, we've already kind of gone over the drug issues, but what drugs are the primary drugs that you're aware of?
Is
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Jeremy's is heroin.
Okay. But Ms. Pruitt also has substantial harder drug use issues, right? We're not talking about like marijuana or drinking too much, but like big drugs.
That is, yes.
Okay. As to the children, there are actually more than those 10 children, correct?
According to her family, yes.
And those go back to when she was a minor involving an incident where she was a child victim, correct?
That is correct.
Does she have possession of any of those children?
I think we lost her again.
We did. So I'm gonna kind of pare this down. So does Crystal have possession of any of her allegedly 17 children?
No.
Some of them were adopted out, others are with other family members or the fathers, right?
It's not with any of her side of the family. It's all with I guess the father's families.
Okay. Okay. So there are also domestic violence issues for all three of the other adults involved. Jeremy, one of them, Jeremy has broken into your house before, correct?
That is correct.
And he was charged with domestic violence against you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
More than once?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has he been, was he sentenced and served jail time for one of those at least?
He was in jail and he was also incarcerated for it.
Okay. As to Ms. Pruitt, she also has some violence issues, including assault on a police officer. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She hasn't really been in your proximity like Jeremy has, though, correct?
That is correct.
And then Mr. Chapman, who's no longer, well, I guess I don't have to address that. But he has some other criminal issues as well, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So are you asking the court to find that non-disclosure is appropriate? In other words, you don't have to update as you normally would and let people know your contact information.
That is correct.
Typically, when one person is the sole managing and someone is a possessory conservator, they still have the rights as parents, even if they're not involved, to get some basic information.
The judge also orders both parents to begin paying child support and medical support. It's a firm message from the court. Responsibility doesn't disappear just because a parent disappears from a child's life.
From third parties like schools. Are you asking to restrict that so that they can't go find out what school Ethan is going to and either bother him there or find out, where you're residing?
That is correct.
Okay. Are your main priorities sole managing conservatorship and also having the discretion to direct any visitation as appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the past, when you've had that without court order, you have tried to open the door to Jeremy, when the situation was appropriate, when you felt that it was safe at that time for Ethan, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Ethan actually has contact with some of his siblings who are with another woman who's adopted those 3 children, correct?
That's correct on his mother's side, yes.
And so you and that lady, Miss Flores, are in communication frequently and try to keep the siblings where they're visiting each other, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Are their last names Ward?
No, they're Flores. They're from
Okay.
the mother's side.
Are there other Ward siblings though? Well, let me just ask you this. Does Ethan want his last name to be Ward?
Yes, he wants the same last name as his 6 siblings.
Okay. So he wants his full name to be Ethan Jacob Ward, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And I believe that's it, Judge, outside of the child support stuff that Ms. Bongat covered. I believe that's it.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Bongat, anything else on redirect, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Bongat, Ms. Kuzic, and Ms. Adams, I'm looking at going ahead based on the testimony I've heard here today, named that Ms. Adams is going forward as the sole managed conservator of the children in this matter. I'll name both parents possessory conservators, but based on the testimony and information provided this court, I'll find that it's in the best interest of this child going forward that neither of them receive any of the rights that are standard under Texas Family Code for a possessory conservator. I'm just giving this to them in name. If either of them wishes the access and information that a conservative is usually entitled to, they'll have to come back and tell the court and show the court that they are responsible and not using any type of drugs. The fact the drug use of these 2 parties is kind of frightening, and because they use major, well, obviously heroin and other drugs are not appropriate. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, name Ms. Adams sold, name them possessor, but give them no rights until further order of the court. I will mandate that they are to pay child support, and based on Ms. Asmus's testimony, I'll go ahead and grant child support, cash medical against both parties, retroactive against both parties. It looks like mom's retro goes back to 48 months, of course, allowed to look at. But dad has been in and out, and we're only looking at a few months since 2023. But I'll grant those amounts as testified to by Ms. Asmus. I'll order repayment on the amounts by the against the mother at the amount requested, and against the father as requested. I'll go ahead and order that Ms. Adams go ahead and pick and set up app close as a means for the parties to contact her, but she's to set up the account, and if either of them contact her and want to talk to the child or talk to her, that she gives them the information about getting on app close, but she is not required to speak with them in any manner, way, shape, or form outside of app close. I'm going to go ahead and again I'm going to look at making this a final order, and I think that might cover it. Is there anything I missed, Ms. Bongat? Because that was a long one.
Apologies, Your Honor.
No
Did you mention?
hesitation, but I think that was understood. But go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Did you make a ruling on court costs?
I'm not gonna do. They're not gonna do it. So
Yes.
I rather for them to give her the money than give the Bell County. So I'll waive court costs this time because it's just not gonna happen.
We
Yes, Your Honor.
need to add Jeremy as a father and be able to change the birth certificate name change.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm granting the name change as requested by the state and the about the ad litem and the child. And
And
the court order will reflect that, ma'am. So you could use this court order to get that birth certificates changed.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else?
Judge, visitation at the sole discretion of grandmother.
Oh God, yes. No,
Okay.
yeah. So this
Okay.
personal visitation, video visitation, audio visitation, all at her pure discretion.
And then in adjudication, that is also ordered, correct? Adjudication is
Parentage?
yes.
Okay, all right, yes, because I did adjudicate, already found that the other person wasn't the father. I will find that obviously the mom's mom. That's I don't have to do that, but I will find that yeah, that Mr. Adams is the father. Anything else?
Thank you, Judge. I think that's it.
All right, Ms. Mongat, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, that's going to be a long order. Ms. Mongat's going to take care of it. Do you want to is Miss Adams excused, or do you want her back in the breakout room while you try to get this one done, Miss Mongat?
She's excused, Your Honor, since she's at her workplace, so we'll get it out, and Ms. Kuzak and I can answer questions if she has any.
All right, well, ma'am, thank you very much. Good luck to you and your, and the child. Even though at that age he's not a child anymore, he's honing in on becoming a teenager if he's not already acting like one. Get ready, it's a coming. All right, and thank you for being there for me, ma'am. If it wasn't for grandparents like you, this world would be a lot worse off. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we're off the record.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. She's just not to be trusted, Your Honor. And like I said, I did do a DNA test for my daughter. I know for certain she is mine. But the twins, it's a kind of iffy situation. And during that time, she was messing with another person.
Finally, the court wraps up the case with several final rulings that will shape Ethan's future. The judge approves the request to change Ethan's name to Ethan Jacob Ward, allowing his birth certificate to be updated. Communication between the parents and the grandmother will only happen through a monitored parenting app if it happens at all. Any visitation, whether in person or by video, will be entirely at the grandmother's discretion. In other words, the parents must prove they deserve a place in Ethan's life before the court will allow it. As the hearing closes, the judge takes a moment to thank the grandmother directly. He acknowledges that without grandparents like her stepping in, many children would have no stability at all. And with that, the courtroom goes off the record, leaving Ethan's future firmly in the hands of the person who has protected him all along.